So Buddha Shakyamuni according to the Vaibhashika school of thought, or the lower Abhidharma system, Shakyamuni Buddha was, in the beginning of his life, was a sentient being who has collected the merits and wisdom over 3 countless eons, and he became an ascetic, a monk, who left home and then went through the 6-year austerity practice, and then beginning with the path of he sat under the tree, Bodhi tree, and having reached the path of preparation, and then progressed through the path and became enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And then after enlightenment, he didn't give any teaching for a while. But after 49 days, then he gave teachings on the Four Noble Truths to the first 5 human disciples. In the Sanskrit tradition, Nagarjuna says that the Buddha had accumulated merit and wisdom for over 3 countless eons. And then, after becoming enlightened through to the end of his life, he and then gave teachings to, and then attained the nirvana. And so Nagarjuna says that if the Buddha didn't exist after his death, only serving sentient beings for around 40 years, having accumulated merit and wisdom, having accumulated the causes for helping sentient beings for over 3 countless eons, and then serving sentient beings only for a few decades, doesn't actually become compatible. So the fruit of the Buddha giving teachings and helping sentient beings doesn't become compatible to the time he spent to reach that goal. And therefore, according to the Sanskrit tradition, the Buddha Shakyamuni himself was a supreme emanation body of Buddha. So within the emanations of the Buddha, there are those of the emanations such as the Supreme One, and then the emanation as artist, and emanation of different other beings. And having attained enlightenment, the Buddhas attained Sambhoga from the Dharmakaya, arise in Sambhogakaya form of Buddha, and from there they emanate the Nirmanakaya, or emanation body. And so the Buddha's body even is in the nature, or said to be in the nature of purity, pure nature. Dharmakaya. And so in the Sanskrit tradition, there is this mention of the 3 Buddha bodies, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. So these are possible because of the natural purity of the mind, which is the empty nature of the mind, the emptiness of the mind. And so, which is to say that when the mind that is full of defilements now becomes totally free from all defilements, then the emptiness of the mind itself becomes free from these defilements as well. So this emptiness of the mind of a Buddha is called Svabhavakaya, the nature truth body. In the highest Yoga Tantra, that nature body has its basis of the designation as that of the clear light mind. So in the highest Yoga Tantra, the innate, spontaneously arisen clear light mind is taught. So that very mind, when it turns into a Buddha's mind, is called the spontaneously arisen body of a Buddha. So within the Svabhavakaya, there is Svabhavaka, which is a compounded phenomena, and another one which is uncompounded phenomena. So when we give the enumeration of the five Buddha bodies according to the unique system of the highest Yoga Tantra, then there is the pure Buddha body as well. And so there are 5 Buddha bodies. There seems to be different ways of identifying them, but there are basically 5 Buddha bodies according to Tantra. So these are not actually taught in the first sermon of the Buddha. So where it comes in Buddha's teaching is in the second turning of the wheel of the Dharma, where the Buddha taught the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. And then there is also the teaching of the Buddha in the third turning of the Buddha, taught in Vaishali and other places. So there are certain teachings. The first sermon of the Buddha on the Four Noble Truths was given in public. So it's well known. Whereas the second, the teaching on the perfection of wisdom and the third turning of the wheel were taught to beings with pure karma. For example, if you look at the Heart Sutra, there is a discussion between the sutra is actually in the form of discussion or dialogue between Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara. So this shows that the teaching was actually given to beings of pure karma. And so because of this, because it was not given publicly, therefore it is said that there are arguments that the Mahayana is not a teaching of the Buddha, because they are also not part of the Buddhist compilation of the teachings of the Buddha, which were done during the councils, the first, second councils of the teaching of the Buddha. So in the Sanskrit tradition of Buddhism, has the system of investigating the teaching of the Buddha. So the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras and other sutras that formed part of the second turning of the wheel of the Dharma and so on, and followed by Nagarjuna and other masters of India, rely so much on reasoning and logic to come to conclusions of the teaching. And the Pali tradition, the Pali teachings, which comprise the first turning of the wheel on the Noble Truth, forms the foundation of Buddhism. And then on top of that, we have to add the teachings of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, where the teachings on the Four Noble Truths are explicated further through reasoning. In the exegetical treatises. For example, we find such things being done in Dharmakirti's Pramanavartika. And in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, the teaching on teaches the emptiness very precisely and in great detail. And then, as part of the third turning of the wheel of the Dharma, we have the Tathagata Garbha Sutra, the essence of Tathagata, which forms the basis, the main source of the Maitreya's Mahayana Uttara Tantra. 거기서
너 대다 어디서 제가 나네 가르쳐 버렸잖아.
So in these sutras, which form part of the third turning, what is shown is the Tathagata Garbha. Blessing for tea. So the nature of mind is luminous, it is said. So in the first turning of the wheel in the Four Noble Truths, what is taught is how we actually fall into samsara and how we can get out of it. So the teaching on the cessation taught in the in the Four Noble Truths is in great detail, explained in great detail in the second turning of the wheel, in the Parinjaparamita Sutras. So it teaches the very precise reality or the nature of the things. And because of this, it becomes very clear to identify what ignorance is. So usually when we think about ignorance, it's a very generic term. So in order to know what is the root of all the troubles, we have to know the mind which realizes the true nature of things. And therefore we need to understand what that truth is. And therefore in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, they teach the cessation in very precisely, in great detail. And then in the Tathagata Garbha Sutras, what is taught is the mind which perceives that reality of emptiness. And it shows that the mind, the basic mind, is intrinsically without the stains. And therefore, in Mahayana Uttara Tantra, it's said that the mind, the defilements are temporary. And then it says that the mind has the very basic nature of being aware and clear about objects. And therefore, because of that, the defilements can be overcome or eliminated from the mind stream. And then in Tantra, which has 4 sets of Tantra, so the first set of Tantra seems to be like a preliminary setting down the foundation for the rest of the Tantra sets. And then the highest yoga Tantra shows, explains mind in its degrees of subtlety. The different degrees of subtlety are taught there. Within the mind, there are certain minds which are temporary, arbitrary, and then it also teaches the very subtle, spontaneous, innate subtle mind, together with which is the innate wind energy. So we have the sensory perceptions during our waking state, and how they work. And then there's dreaming mind, and then there is a mind at the very deep sleep, during deep sleep. And so in one day we go through these experiences. So when we see things with our eyes and hear sounds with our ears, and although we become aware of the form or sound, the eyes consciousness, the visual consciousness, doesn't make the difference between good and bad forms. This is done by the conception or thought. So this is clear to us. If you think through closely, then we can make this difference. When you look at me, for example, while your eyes are fixed on me, your mind will be thinking about Singapore or Hong Kong. So your mind is distracted to your own countries. Similarly, you see something with your eyes, but also you hear some sound, music. And if your mind follows the sound more, then your visual consciousness is not so much aware of the form. And similarly, it goes with the visual form. When it's fixed, when your mind is focused on the sight, then the hearing is diminished. So I have talked with scientists about these differences. When the perceptions, the sensory perceptions work, which part of the brain actually work, and when the thought processes go on, which part of the mind works more. So I've told them there is a way to check that. In Buddhist psychology, we have this the sensory perceptions, which are non-conceptual, and then there is a conceptual mind, the thoughts. And then within the thought process, there is the thought during the waking state and during dreaming state, and then during the deep sleep state. So they they are subtler and subtler. The latter ones are subtler than the former ones. When somebody is in coma, there still is a thought process going on. And when somebody faints, also there is still this thought or conception.
그렇게 해서 그 통주를
And then when somebody dies,
야간을 가지다 그래서 숨쉬기 중요하래. 딱
there have been over 30 cases of people who clinically were dead, and then the brain also has stopped working. The circulation of blood from this heart to the brain has stopped. So when the circulation of blood, when the flow of blood from the heart to the brain stops, then you come to the point of brain death. But then, even after that, there have been these cases where people have stayed for a week or a few weeks, 4 weeks, without the body decomposing. So some scientists are now researching on this phenomenon. So even after brain death, still the person's body is fresh. So why does this happen? So some of my friends, scientists, are doing research on this phenomenon. According to Buddhist psychology, what we explain is that the subtlest mind is still there in the body. Although the gross states of mind have ceased working, still there is this subtle mind in the body. So we explain such things, and accordingly, there has been also through the power of meditation, people can also dissolve the gross states of mind and manifest the subtle mind, subtle clear light. So this, of course, there are not many, but there are few who can do that. And so, in the highest Yoga Tantra, there is this difference, distinction between the subtle and gross states of mind. And so the subtle mind is used to transform into the path. The important thing that we have to know is, without asserting the 4 Buddha bodies, the presentation of the 4 Buddha bodies, it's very difficult to explain what is taught in the tantras. If we assert these 4 Buddha bodies, the 4 Buddha bodies, including the Dharmakaya, the Jnanakaya of the Buddha, wisdom, the truth body of the Buddha, is compounded phenomena. So that's from there arises the Buddhas, the Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya arise from there. And so that has to be based on the understanding of the clear light, the subtlest clear light. So when you know that clear light, then you can infer that the full Buddha bodies are possible. And similarly, not only that, then the enlightened activities of the Buddhas, which happen spontaneously, it's not just mere words that we explain this, but then this is possible when the Buddha's body, speech, and mind are of one taste. So if there is no spontaneous enlightened activity of the Buddha, then we cannot talk about the Buddha being serving sentient beings. So this enlightened activity, the spontaneous enlightened activities of the Buddha, come from the fact that the 3 doors of the Buddhas are of one taste. And so for those 3 to be of one taste, you should have preceded during your training level practice. You have to have the courses for that, where these 3, the body, speech, and mind, become of one taste. And therefore, in the highest Yoga Tantra, there is the system or the method to cultivate the one taste of the body, speech, and mind. And then finally culminating into Buddha's body, speech, and mind, which are of one taste. So if you actually ponder these points, then you can find logic in it, and it's difficult to be argued against. And so first we have the Noble Truth teachings and the Four Noble Truths, which are in the Pali tradition. And then on the second level, we have the Sanskrit traditions of comprising the perfection of wisdom's teachings. And then we have the teachings on the nature of the mind being luminous and clear, the clarity of the third turning of the wheel of the Dharma, and then we go into the Tantra, and primarily the highest yoga Tantra. And so, as the preliminary to the highest yoga Tantra, we have the three other lower sets of Tantras. And so, if you can understand in this way, you know you have a holistic understanding of the Buddhism. So within Tantra, there are 4 sets of Tantra. In Tibetan tradition, we have the old translations, the tantric system, and this new tantric system. Of course, the visionary teachings are more prevalent in the Nyingma system. Within the Sarma, the new schools of Tibetan Buddhism, of course, there are visionary visions of deities and so forth. And so, for example, Tsongkhapas having visions of Manjushri and so forth. And so, in the Nyingma, there are the Karma, Dharma, and then the visionary teachings. And so, within the visionary teachings, there are visions which appear in a certain form of experience, and then which appear to the mind, and then there are visions which appear to the sensory perceptions. The fifth Dalai Lama's visions happens to come within the second category, which happen to the visual perceptions. So this vision is about the 3 taras, with white tara in the center, flanked by 2 other taras. So the meditation for this is according to the action tantra. So as a preliminary to this, it would be good to take the bodhisattva vows. So in order for that, we'll go through the ceremony for aspirational bodhicitta, aspiring bodhicitta. So generating bodhicitta and taking bodhisattva vows. It would be also good if the audience could also take any of the 7 patimoksha vows. Has the 7 these patimoksha vows. So usually I do the upasaka vows, the layperson's vows, before giving the bodhicitta and bodhisattva vows. And so amongst the lay people, those who wish to take layperson's vows, I thought of doing this for you. The highest form of upasaka vow is the vow of celibacy, and also an upasaka with all the 5 vows. And then there are, of course, within the upasakas, there could be people who take only 1 vow, or 2, or 3, or 4. So what does an upasaka with all the vows keep as their precept? Abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and then lying, a big lie where you claim to have realizations and so forth, and then abstaining of alcohol. So of course, even if you may not have taken the vows, you cannot kill human beings because you land in prison. And similarly, it happens with the stealing. So even if you don't take the vows, you have to still follow the rules or laws of the country. And then if you commit sexual misconduct, for example, raping somebody, you would also be legally sued. So these are against laws. And then the fourth one is the grave lie, where you claim to have high realizations, experiences of the Dharma and so forth, even without them. So for ordinary people, they may not be so prone to committing this. But people like me, sitting on high throne, could commit this kind of lie. Even though without having any kind of higher realizations, experiences of Dharma, they may claim to have so. But there are some people who are totally disillusioned, and for example, you may take Bodhisattva vow from me, having generated bodhicitta. Some people may go to may claim that they are bodhisattvas now, having taken bodhisattva vows from me. So this could also end up like in committing this kind of lie. So the fifth one is taking alcohol, giving up alcohol. So sometimes people say that if you take alcohol after a meal, it helps for digestion and health. And then you say kampen and take alcohol. So you say cheers when you take alcohol. So you have to think about it. I always tell this story. My senior tutor, Ling Rinpoche, gave the 5 vows, these Upasaka vows, to one Tibetan elderly man. And then he explained to this man the 5 precepts. And he came to explaining this about alcohol. And then the old man said, I cannot give up drinking alcohol. And so Ling Rinpoche, because he was an embodiment of compassion, he very kindly told this old man, you don't take too much alcohol, but maybe you can take a little. So if you can give up alcohol, then please give up, do so. And even if you cannot do so, you don't take to the point that you get drunk. Just take a little. So these 5 precepts are not very difficult to keep, are they? So those of you who wish to take the Upasaka vows, please raise your hands. Raise your hands, those who wish to take. So because we don't have much space for you to do prostration, get up and do prostration, please touch your folded hands at your forehead, throat and heart 3 times. 3 times each. And then please make prostrations 3 times to me, from whom you are taking these Upasaka vows. Look at page number 17 for these vows in the Book of Prayers. So whichever vows you take, it has to be done on the basis of having taken refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So with this determination to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then you take refuge in them. So the Buddha, taking the Buddha as the teacher, and then the Dharma being the actual refuge, within the Dharma there is the scriptural or the teachings, and then the experiences of or the realizations of Dharma. So the main Dharma is this direct realization of emptiness, this wisdom realizing emptiness directly, and from then you become able to overcome certain defilements. So in the second moment of having attained this wisdom, direct realization of emptiness, then you reach the thoroughly liberated path, which is to say that you reach the cessation. The true cessation is attained within you. Attain it within yourself. So once you have these two experiences of the wisdom and the cessation, then the defilements which have been overcome will never repeat themselves within you. And so there you think of taking refuge in such a dharma. Now, in order to reach that goal of having overcome all the defilements from within your mind, whereby it's all eliminated, uprooted, you begin your practice from now on with your body, restraining the body and speech, and not letting yourself commit the negative actions, and then going to the next step of overcoming the afflictive thoughts and emotions which give rise to those actions. And so Aryadeva says, first get rid of the non-meritorious actions, and then in the middle it says get rid of the self-grasping, and then finally get rid of all distorted views. And then in this way, if you can do this in this way, you are a wise one. And so, with regard to the 5 vows, so the first step is to refrain from committing non-virtuous actions. And so, with the determination to reach that goal of having overcome all the defilements from within your mind, which is to say true dharma within yourself, I will take these 5 vows of Upasaka. You should feel that determination. And just as the past masters, past Sangha masters have practiced the path, likewise, I will do so. You should feel determined to that. And so with that understanding, those of you who wish to take, please kneel on your right knee, those who wish to take the Upasaka vows. Look at page number 17 of the prayer book. So imagine the Buddha himself in person here in the space before you, and think that you will be a sincere, genuine follower of him. And because of that, you think of taking the these Upasaka vows. You would repeat them in Tibetan. So these lines basically say that you are going to take these vows of Upasaka, the 5 precepts. So please repeat, Master, please pay attention to me. I, known by this name, say your name here. From this time on, and as long as I'm alive, seek refuge in the Buddhas, the best of the bipeds. I seek refuge in the Dharma, the best of freedom from attachment. I seek refuge in the Sangha, the best of the congregations. Master, please consider me as a devout lay follower until my death. Repeat from the beginning, Master, please pay attention to me. I, known by this name, from this time on, as long as I'm alive, seek refuge in the Buddhas, the best of bipeds, seek refuge in the Dharma, the best of freedom from attachment, seek refuge in the Sangha, the best of congregation. Master, please consider me as a devout lay follower until my death. At the end of this third repetition now, when you say, as a devout lay follower, that's the time when you receive the vow, these Upasaka vows, and His Holiness will snap at that point and feel convinced that you have received the Upasaka vows. Master, please pay attention to me. I, known by this name, from this time on, and as long as I'm alive, seek refuge in the Buddhas, the best of the bipeds. Seek refuge in the Dharma, the best of freedom from attachment. Seek refuge in the Sangha, the best of congregations. Please consider me as a devout follower until my death. Please sit down. So with regard to the precepts, we don't need to follow the ritual. But what is said is, what you have to know is that as the past arahats have taken these Upasaka vows and accordingly kept them and practiced, so likewise, I will also keep these precepts even at the cost of my life. So you make such a pledge and follow the footsteps of those arahants who lived in the past by taking these vows. So make that determination in your mind. And next is generating enlightenment, page 18. So in order to take generate bodhicitta, imagine the Buddha who is embodiment of the four Buddha bodies, and surrounded by him, being surrounded by Manjushri, Maitreya, Samandabhadra, and so forth, the 8 principal bodhisattva disciples, as well as masters like Nagarjuna, Asanga, and so forth in the space surrounding the Buddha. And then when Buddhism spread to other countries from India, like Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and Laos, where the Pali traditions have spread. And think of the great masters of the past from these countries. And also the Buddhism spread to China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam. And the masters of these great, who have actually served the Dharma and sentient beings, masters from these countries as well. And also the Buddhism is spread from India to Tibet directly, and from there to Mongolia, and also the Mongolian, ethnic Mongolian regions of the Russian Federation. And so imagine the great masters from these regions as well, Tibet and Mongolia and the regions in this space before you. And so with these in mind, you generate bodhicitta. In order to generate bodhicitta, you have to accumulate merit and purify negativities, and therefore there's Shendun. So look at the second chapter of this Shantideva's book, Disclosure of Wrongdoings or Confession. So, in order to do the 7 limb practice for purification of negativities and accumulation of merit, we go through this text. In order to seize this precious mind, it begins with that line.
Second chapter.
So we'll read the 2nd chapter and then the 3rd chapter. Until the point of taking the bodhisattva, generating bodhicitta. Third chapter, verse number 25, up to verse number 25. Verse number 22, sorry, on page 22. So where it says, until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. So up to that point, we'll read. So those who read in Tibetan, you should read in Tibetan, and then those who read English should read in English, and maybe we'll have a Chinese recitation mainly. So the rest of the people should read in their own, whichever language they read. In order to seize the precious mind, I offer now to the Tathagatas, to the sacred Dharma, the stainless jewel, and to the disciples of the Buddha, the oceans of excellence, whatever flowers and fruits there are, and whatever kinds of medicine, whatever jewels exist in this world, and whatever clean, refreshing waters, likewise gem-encrusted mountains, forest groves, quiet and joyful places, heavenly trees bedecked with flowers, and trees with fruit-laden branches, fragrances of celestial realms, incense, wishing trees and jewel trees, uncultivated harvest, and all ornaments that are worthy of being offered, lakes and pools adorned with lotuses, and the beautiful cry of wild geese, everything unowned within the limitless sphere of space. Creating these things in my mind, I offer them to the supreme beings of the Buddhas as well as their children. O compassionate ones, think kindly of me and accept these offerings of mine. Having no merit, I am destitute, and I have no other gifts to offer. O protectors, you who think of helping others by your power, accept these for my sake. Eternally shall I offer all my bodies to the conquerors and their children. Please accept me, you, the supreme heroes. Respectfully shall I be your subject. By being completely under your care, I shall benefit all with no fear of conditioned existence. I shall perfectly transcend my previous transgressions, and in the future shall commit no more. To very sweetly scented bathing chambers with brilliantly sparkling crystal floors and exquisite pillars ablaze with gems, with canopies above aglow with pearls, I beseech the Tathagatas and their children to come and bath their bodies from many jeweled vases filled with water scented and enticing to the accompaniment of music and song. Let me dry their body with incomparable cloths, clean and well anointed with scent, and then may I present these holy beings with fragrant garments of suitable color. I adorn with manifold ornaments and various raiments, fine and smooth, the Arya, Samandabhadra, Manju Kosha, Avalokiteshvara, and all the others, just like polishing pure refined gold. And I anoint the Buddha's forms, which are blades with light, with the choicest perfumes, whose fragrance permeate 1,000 million worlds, and to the highest objects of giving I offer beautiful, well-arranged garlands, as well as enchanting, sweet-smelling flowers, such as lilies, jasmine, lotus blooms. Also I send forth clouds of incense, whose sweet aroma steals away the mind, as well as celestial delicacies, including a variety of foods and drinks. I offer them to jeweled lamps arranged on golden lotus buds upon land sprinkled with scented water. I scatter delicate flower petals. To those who have the nature of compassion, I offer palaces resounding with melodious hymns exquisitely illuminated by hanging pearls and gems that adorn the infinite space. Eternally shall I offer to all the Buddhas jeweled umbrellas with golden handles and exquisite ornaments embellished to the rims, standing erect and dear shapes beautiful to behold. In addition, may a mass of offerings resounding with sweet and unpleasing music like clouds that appease the misery of all, each remaining for as long as necessary. And may a continuous rain of flowers and precious gems descend upon the reliquaries and statues and upon all the jewels of Dharma, and in the same way as Manjughosha and others have made the offerings to the conquerors, similarly do I bestow gifts upon the Tathagatas, the protectors, their children and all. I glorify the oceans of excellence with limitless verses of harmonious praise. With these clouds of gentle eulogies constantly ascend to their presence. With bodies as numerous as all the atoms within the universe, I prostrate to all the Buddhas of the three times, the Dharma and Supreme Community. Likewise, I prostrate to all the reliquaries, to the basis of awakening mind, to all the learned abbots and masters, and to all the noble practitioners. I seek refuge in all the Buddhas until I possess the essence of awakening. I seek refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who possess the great compassion, and reside in all directions throughout beginningless cycling existence in this life and others. Unknowingly, I committed transgressions and ordered them to be done by others. Overwhelmed by the deception of ignorance, I rejoiced in what was done. But now, seeing these mistakes from my heart, I confess them to the Buddhas. Whatever harmful acts of body, speech, and mind I have done in a disturbed mental state towards the three jewels of refuge, my parents, my spiritual masters, and others, and all the grave wrongdoings, so thoroughly vile and polluted with an abundance of faults, I openly declare to the guides of the world, but I may well perish before all my transgressions have been purified. So please protect me in such a way as will swiftly and surely free me from them. The untrustworthy Lord of Death waits not for things to be done or undone, whether I am sick or healthy. This fleeting lifespan is unstable. Leaving all, I must depart alone. Yet, through not having understood this, I committed various kinds of wrongdoings. For the sake of my friends and foes, my foe will become nothing. My friends will become nothing. I too will become nothing. Likewise, all will become nothing. Just like a dream experience, whatever things I enjoy will become a memory. Whatever has passed will not be seen again. Even within this life, in a brief life, many friends and foes have passed, but whatever unbearable wrongdoing I committed for them remains ahead of me. Thereby, through not having realized that I shall suddenly vanish, I committed so much wrong out of ignorance, lust, and hate, remaining neither day or night. Life is always slipping by and never getting any longer. Why would death not come to one like me while I'm lying in bed? Although surrounded by friends and relatives, the feeling of life being severed will be experienced by me alone. When seized by the messengers of death, what benefit will friends and relatives afford? My merit alone shall protect me then, but upon that I have never relied. O protectors, O I, so unconcerned, unaware of such terror as this, accumulated a great deal of negative actions for the sake of this transient life. Petrified is the person, today being led to a torture chamber with a dry mouth and dreadful sunken eyes. His entire appearance is transfigured. What need to mention the tremendous despair when stricken with the disease of great panic, being clasped by the physical forms of the frightful messengers of death, Who can afford me real protection from this great horror? With terrified, bulging eyes agape, I shall search in every direction for refuge. Upon seeing no refuge anywhere, I shall become enveloped in gloom. If there should be no protection there, then what shall I be able to do? Therefore, I now seek refuge in the Buddhas who protect the world, who strive to shelter all the lives and, with great strength, eradicate all fear. Likewise, I purely seek refuge in the Dharma, which they have realized clears away the fears of cyclic existence, and also in the assembly of bodhisattvas. Trembling with fear, offer myself to Samandabhadra, to Manjughosha. Also, I make a gift of my body to the protector of Avalokiteshvara, who infallibly acts with compassion. I utter a mournful cry, please protect me, this miscreant. In my search for refuge, I cry from my heart for Akashgarbha, Kshitigarbha, and all the compassionate protectors, and I seek refuge in Vajrapani, upon the sight of whom all harmful beings, such as the messengers of death, flee in terror in all directions. Previously, I transgressed your advice, but now, upon seeing this great fear, I Holiness. Previously, I transgressed your advice, but now seeing this greater, I go for refuge. By doing so, may this fear be swiftly cleared away. If I need to comply with the doctor's advice when frightened by the common illness, then how much more so when perpetually diseased by the unmanifold agitations of desire and so forth. And if all people living on this earth can be overcome by just one of these, and if no other medicine to cure them is to be found elsewhere in the universe, then the intention not to act in accordance with the advice of the all-knowing physicians, then that can uproot every misery is extremely bewildered and worthy of scorn. If I need to be careful near a small ordinary precipice, then how much more so near the one of deep duration that drops 4,000 miles. It is inappropriate to enjoy myself thinking that today alone I shall not die, for inevitably the time will come when I shall become nothing. Who can grant me fearlessness? How can I be surely free from this? If I shall inevitably become nothing, how can I relax and enjoy myself? What remains with me now from the terminated experience of the past, yet through my great attachment to them, I have been going against my spiritual master's advice, having departed from this life and from all my friends and relatives. If all alone I must go elsewhere, what is the use of making friends and enemies? How can I be surely freed from unwholesomeness and the sources of misery? And continuously, day and night, I should only consider this. Wherever has been done by me through ignorance and unknowing, be it the breaking of a vow or a deed of nature, by nature wrong, I humbly confess it all in the presence of the protectors, with folded hands, prostrating myself again and again, my mind terrified by the misery to come. I beseech all the guides of the world to please accept my transgressions and wrongs. Since these are not good, in the future I shall do them no more. Gladly I do rejoice in the virtue that relieves the misery of all those in unfortunate states and that gives happiness to the suffering. I rejoice in the gathering of virtue that is the cause for our heart's awakening. I rejoice in the definite freedom of embodied creatures from the miseries of cyclic existence. I rejoice in the awakening of Buddhas and also in the spiritual levels of these children.
Yes. Okay.
English.
Second,
인지도로 사용을 합니다. 더 쉽잖아. 더 그래. 나를 쳤어. 저놈 저대 상배. 저놈 저대 상배. Now read. Should we check? So on page 18, for generating mind of enlightenment, there are these two verses, which first will not do the bodhisattva vows, but generating we follow a ceremony for the generation of bodhicitta. So the verses that we'll use begins with a wish to free all sentient beings. The first verse shows taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the time you take refuge is until you reach the essence of enlightenment, which means Buddhahood. So I explained about the enlightenment before. So the great enlightenment is the omniscient state of Buddhahood. And so here you are taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha from within the context of taking refuge from the Mahayana point of view. So with the wish to free all things, it means I should always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. Is a way of taking refuge in the Mahayana way. And then enthused by wisdom and compassion, the next verse, with the help of wisdom, compassion, and being influenced by compassion, and for the benefit of all limited sentient beings, and in order to reach enlightenment, I will diligently work. So you are saying that you are going to reach enlightenment. And you imagine the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you in the space, and then generate bodhicitta. That's what you are saying. So by taking refuge, when you say that I'm going to generate bodhicitta or become a Buddha for the benefit of all limited sentient beings, you are generating the aspiring bodhicitta. And having done that, then when you make a pledge that you will keep this bodhicitta forever until you reach enlightenment, then that is actually determining to keep bodhicitta, making that pledge. And then in order to keep that, then bodhicitta, you should avoid the four negative actions and cultivate the four positive ones. So mainly what you have to do is you should remind yourself of bodhicitta 3 times a day and 3 times in the night. And you should never give up on sentient beings, and then accumulate merit and wisdom, and also the benefits of reminding yourself of the benefits of bodhicitta, and be honest and at all times, and without any hypocrisy, and praise and honor the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and not despise them. And so first we'll do generation of bodhicitta. Please kneel on your right knee. So I will say in Tibetan, but you will repeat after me in your own language. With a wish to free all sentient beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, diligently for the sake of sentient beings, in the presence of the Buddha, I generate the mind for full awakening. With a wish to free all sentient beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, diligently for the sake of sentient beings, in the presence of the Buddhas, I generate the mind for full awakening. With a wish to free all sentient beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach the essence of enlightenment, enthused by wisdom and compassion, diligently for the sake of sentient beings. In the presence of the Buddhas, I generate the mind for full awakening. Please sit down. So having generated bodhicitta, the aim or the objective of that is to reach enlightenment. So which cannot come about through mere prayers, nor by reciting mantras. But how do you reach that? You have to cultivate bodhicitta, which of course for now is an object of prayer for us. But if you should think of it, reflect on it again and again, and then grow in the strength of this bodhicitta, this aspiration to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then there comes a time when this experience of bodhicitta becomes real. So now, for that, you have to first of all understand what the bodhi means. So when you think about the bodhi or the enlightenment, when you think of reaching that for yourself, and when you think to reach that, you automatically also think of reaching, leading all sentient beings to that state. So just as it is said in the Abhisamaya Alamkara, bodhicitta is that mind which aspires to Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. And so first you have to generate this wish to be liberated yourself, and then when you understand that bodhi, you also determine to lead all sentient beings to that state. So for the benefit of all sentient beings, you generate compassion, and then in order to reach that goal of enlightenment, then you generate bodhicitta, which is together with this aspiration to reach Buddhahood. So bodhicitta being the main mind. And so in order to reach Buddhahood, you also have to overcome the obscuration to knowledge, or cognitive obscuration. And for that, you have to realize emptiness. And so you have to develop the combined experience of shamatha and vipassana focused on emptiness. So with the help of vipassana and shamatha, realizing emptiness, then you have to progress along the path. And in order to reach higher and higher, you also need merit. And so you have to collect merit, and for that you have to put effort. And so there is diligence. So until you reach enlightenment, Buddhahood, you have to do to the best of your ability to help other sentient beings, in which you can actually help by giving material things, and also by giving advice for temporary and ultimate goal of benefit. And then while you teach others to be good, you also have to show your example to others that you also you are also doing that. And then you engage in the practices now in order to reach the goal of enlightenment. And then you have to engage in the different practices. Such as the practices which are called the armor-like practice, and the engagement practice, and so forth. And so the main factors which lead you to Buddhahood is the 6 perfections, the Bodhisattva practices. And therefore, not sufficing yourself with only generating bodhicitta, but also having this determination to engage in the Bodhisattva practices of the 6 perfections. So for that, you should, if you wish to, if you don't have the wish to practice the 6 perfections of the Bodhisattvas, then you cannot take Bodhisattva vows. And so, Bodhisattva vow is about pledging to engage in the Bodhisattva practices, the six perfections, in order to reach the goal of enlightenment and for the benefit of other sentient beings. And so, having generated bodhicitta, you first listen to the teachings on the precepts of bodhisattvas. And having done that, then when you feel the aspiration or the interest to engage in the bodhisattva practices, then you take bodhisattva vows. And actually, it's said that in order to take bodhisattva vows, you should have a bodhisattva. You should be a bodhisattva, which means you should have bodhicitta within yourself, as it is mentioned in the Bodhisattva Bhumi of Asanga, where when you take bodhisattva vows, it's asked, "Are you a bodhisattva?" So, when this question is asked, when you don't have bodhicitta, you feel a little bit concerned, and it's very difficult that to say yes, I am bodhisattva when you don't actually have bodhicitta within yourself. But we also have this aspiration to practice the bodhisattva practices. And so there are two types of bodhicitta, which is aspiring and then the venturing bodhicitta. Venturing bodhicitta means the bodhicitta after taking bodhisattva vows. So Kunkyang Lama Jamyang Sherpa has said, of course, after taking tantric initiations, people actually fall into hell realms. But he says it's worthwhile going to hell after taking tantric initiations. It serves a great purpose, rather than creating a very negative action after having vowed that you will keep the vows of bodhisattvas and tantra. But still, even if you fall into the hell realm, the imprints of those determination and the vows that you have taken still remains in your mind. So there's a story where there were some people who could become arhats if they were given teachings on the Four Noble Truths by Shariputra. But before Shariputra could give the teachings, Manjushri came forth and gave teachings on emptiness to those disciples. And then those disciples couldn't actually take the teaching on emptiness, and therefore they actually had this idea that emptiness is something nihilistic kind of view, and so because of that misunderstanding, they fell into the hell realm. And then Shariputra went to the Buddha and said, Manjushri actually did a grave negative thing. So Buddha told Shariputra that your clairvoyance about the fact that those disciples could reach arhatship was rather weaker than the clairvoyance of Manjushri. So even if these disciples fell into hell realm, and after having this misconception about the Manjushri's teaching, the Buddha said that this actually left a great imprint in their mind, which would, rather than leading them to arhatship, would actually lead them to Buddhahood quicker. And so we have to study Buddhism. We have in Tibetan the 300 volumes of the Kanjur and Tenjur. So we talk usually about pith instructions of masters, but if we take the teaching of the Nagarjuna, for example, his pith instruction would be what he has written, the fundamental treatise of the middle way and so forth. Even if Nagarjuna were to come here in person now and teach us, he wouldn't have greater teaching than what he has given in this. And so Buddha himself also has said the Vinaya Pitaka are his like the teacher in the future for his followers. And then we have we have in Tibetan 100 volumes of the teaching of the Buddha, the words of the Buddha, and then 225 volumes of the exegetical texts written by Indian masters. So we have to use these as our textbooks for studying Buddhism. We have to start it now. If we don't do it now, then how can we actually progress along the path from bliss to bliss? Nagarjuna has said that feeling discouraged will lead you nowhere. You have to have confidence and courage to engage in the paths. You should not feel discouraged at all, and should not have low esteem. We have not been able to reach our goals because of feeling low self-esteem and so forth. And so for Bodhisattva vows now, so verse number 22 on page 22 in this book of Shantideva, 23, I'm sorry, which starts with just as the previous Sugatas gave birth to an awakening mind. This verse number 23 and 24 will recite them three times. So just as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have generated bodhicitta, likewise I will do so. And similarly, it says, likewise, as for the sake of all that lives, do I give birth to awakening mind, and likewise shall I too successively follow the practices. Please kneel on your right knee.
That's
23 and 24, verses 23 and 24 on page 22 and 23. Just as the previous Sugatas gave birth to an awakening mind, and just as they successively dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise, for the sake of all that lives, do I give birth to an awakening mind, and likewise shall I too successively follow the practices. Just as the previous Sugatas gave birth to an awakening mind, and just as they successively dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise, for the sake of all that lives, do I give birth to an awakening mind, and likewise shall I too successively follow the practices. Just as the previous Sugatas gave birth to the awakening mind, and just as they successively dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise, for the sake of all that lives, do I give birth to an awakening mind, and likewise shall I too successively follow the practices. No. No. So please feel that you have received the Bodhisattva vows. So if you feel that you will not be able to keep all the 18 root downfalls, the Bodhisattva vows and so forth, just make a prayer to be able to take Bodhisattva vows in the future. But if you think that you are able to keep the Bodhisattva vows and accordingly engage in the practices of Bodhisattvas, you may feel that you have received this. I too do this every day. Take Bodhisattva vows every day, and it really helps my mind. Verse number 26. Let's read from verse number 25. Please sit down. In order to further increase it from now on, those with discernment who have licitly seized an awakening mind in this way shall highly praise it in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit. Having well obtained this human existence, I have been born into the family of Buddhas, and now am one of Buddha's children. Thus, whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and so unsullied race. Just like a blind man discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise, by some coincidence, an awakening mind has been born within me. It is supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. It is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. It is the supreme medicine that quells the world's disease. It is the tree that shelters all beings wandering and tired on the path of conditioned existence. It is a universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. It is the dawning upon moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conceptions. It is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. It is the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of Dharma. From all those guests traveling on the path of conditioning who wish to experience the bounties of happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors, I invite the world to be guests at the festival, temporary and ultimate delight. May gods, demigods, and all be joyful. So next is the Jenang, Tara, White Tara, permission initiation. So this is the ritual for driving away any hindering or spirits who might otherwise hinder this practice of the Jenang. So when you practice Tantra, Vajra and Bell are considered the two main implements that kept Vajra and Bell, and then a consort or a mudra refers to or symbolizes the heart of the Buddha, and the speech, and then the body. So the heart here refers to the innate clear light mind, which is used to realize emptiness. And the bell symbolizes the emptiness, which is realized by that wisdom. Or with the bell can represent or symbolize wisdom realizing emptiness in general. And Vajra symbolizes the inseparability of the wisdom realizing emptiness and the bliss. So so Vajra symbolizes the innate clear light mind, and bell symbolizes emptiness or wisdom of emptiness in general. So in Tantra, we visualize ourselves as deities.
제 탐제로
And so,
이제도 수능 수능 파트를 잘 샤워.
so the mind which realizes emptiness, the wisdom actually appears in the form of a deity in Tantra. So it's not about just visualizing some deity without that experience. Whether you realize whether you visualize a deity in front of you or yourself as a deity, you have to be able to see that deity in front of you and yourself as deity of being of the one nature. So many of us actually considered that visualizing the deity in front of you is more powerful in receiving blessings than visualizing yourself as the deity. This is wrong. In Yana Vajra's commentary, it says that visualizing the deity in front is meant for practitioners of the action tantra who are of common or ordinary practitioners of the action tantra. So otherwise, even contrary to that, we actually visualize the deities in front and consider that to be more source of blessing, and then make offerings to them. So you also, when you imagine the deities in front of you, you do that within the meditation on emptiness, and then the mind realizing emptiness arises from that mind which is absorbed in emptiness. And so this is similarly the case with regard to self-generation, yourself generating yourself as the deity. So first you dissolve yourself, everything into emptiness, and then from that you arise into a deity. In Mahayana Uttara Tantra, it says the enlightened activities of the Buddha shine forth to the sentient beings. And then the emptiness of the mind, the empty nature of the mind of sentient beings and Buddhas are of same nature. Nagarjuna says there's no samsara and nirvana which are separate. So whatever deity yoga practice you do, you have to realize emptiness with that innate clear-light mind, and then that emptiness nature of the mind. So of course, as soon as the clear-light mind comes into being, its nature is empty. So that emptiness of the mind, that mind of clear-light and the clear-light are of one nature. But what we are talking about here is actually generating that wisdom within ourselves to realize the emptiness of that clear light, of course. Which means that it's not like meditating on emptiness of some object outside of you, like a vase. So that emptiness of the mind is on the mind itself. So you have to appear into a deity from within this absorption of your mind in meditation. So of course we do lots of rituals, but we have to understand this process of dissolution into emptiness and then rising from within that emptiness. So here the deity is Tara. So in Nalanda University and other ancient monasteries, we can see images of the Tara and Avalokiteshvara. So perhaps even those people who did not do any tantric practice, maybe so in certain practice of bodhisattvas, where the paths are meditated upon in sequentially, perhaps there is mention of also this meditation on a deity. So maybe they are using that kind of practice. So when we do deity yoga practice, we identify the 5 aggregates as the 5 Buddha families. And then the sources of consciousness also are transformed into different deities. As we find in Guru Puja, so it's mentioned that the 5 aggregates are the 5 Buddha families, and then other deities. So in order to be able to do that, in order for ourselves to transform into deities, we do such meditations on deities. And it's not like thinking about a deity somewhere up in Akarneshta land or something like that. So I just explained about the symbolism of Vajra and bell. So regarding Tara, she is the purified state of the wind energy. So in Guya Samaja also practice, we have Tara on the crown. So this has some significance because of the movement of the energy, wind energy that moves in the crown. So I usually translate the prana as the energy, which is usually translated wind energy. So lung or prana has a correlation to Tara. So Tara is the purified state of the wind energy, and which means that she is the embodiment of the deity of enlightened activities of the Buddhas. So with regard to these such practices within the Tantra Nyingma system tradition, there are the karma, dharma, and the visionary teachings. The karma being the distant lineage of the teachings of the Buddha, and dharma being the hidden treasure teachings, and then the profound visionary teachings. So with regard to the 5th Dalai Lama, he had visions even when he was 3 years old, and he was actually composing texts at that age. So it's very amazing, isn't it? And then the 2nd Dalai Lama were great masters. And then the 3rd and 4th, of course, didn't live very long. And then the 5th Dalai Lama. So, and the 7th Dalai Lama had visions. So I received this particular Jenang from Tata Rinpoche. So with regard to Bodhisattva vows, of course, it's part of the Tantric initiations. And then I also took Bodhisattva vow, especially from Ling Rinpoche, my senior tutor, in front of a Buddha statue in Bodh Gaya, the main Mahabodhi stupa. And then I also took Bodhisattva vows from Tijang Rinpoche, my junior tutor, based on the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara, which the two verses which are meant for both aspiring and venturing bodhicittas. So imagine the master here as the main deity, Vaitara, and to his left, imagine to his right, imagine Brikuti, and to his left, another Tara with a vase in her hand. And so we have three deities, Taras here. So for that, let us make a mandala offering. You should make that be way. Please repeat this request. Kange tingi de jene. Di jinye la chawa. Lamarin chintabu. Doji shapelat. Kowale de tarem. Dudira ijigu. Durin nawanam letter. Domayum la chatse. So the next we take Bodhisattva vows. I don't know whether you can actually receive a fresh set of Bodhisattva vows here in this as part of this ceremony, but it will help. Please repeat these. Kunjo sumla ta gyapchi. Digbatam je sosorsha. Drove gyala jeyerang. Sanje chanchu yigisum. Page 19. Ribado da gyapchi. I shall generate the mind of awakening. Having generated the mind of highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delighting supreme practices of enlightenment. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit sentient beings. I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings. I take mind to mind Buddha's enlightenment. To the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I shall generate the mind for awakening. Having generated the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings, my guests. I shall engage in the delighting practices of enlightenment. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit sentient beings. I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings. I take to mind Buddha's enlightenment. To the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, I seek refuge until enlightenment. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I shall generate mind for awakening. Having generated bodhicitta, I shall invite all sentient beings, my guests. I shall engage in the delighting supreme practice of enlightenment. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. So after that, there is also there are some lines which we may not need to repeat. So just as the Taras also have generated bodhicitta and reached enlightenment, and until reaching enlightenment, whatever we do in order for that those actions to become beneficial to others, we should do our best not to get sick and for the benefit of other sentient beings. So this is what we are praying for. So we will not have repetition of these lines. Next is the disciples generating themselves into a deity. So if you have received full-fledged initiations before, full-fledged initiations of action tantra and above, you can imagine yourself as transforming into deities. Otherwise, if you have not received any tantric initiations before, you may imagine Tara on your crown. So that mantra in Sanskrit is in Sanskrit, and Om here represents is made up of 3 letters, A, U, and Ma, which represents the body, speech, and mind. So on the basis of the body, speech, and mind, the self is designated. And Svabhava means nature, and Shuddha means pure. So the body, speech, and mind, and which form the designation, the basis of designation upon which the self is designated, is pure or by nature. And so what you are meditating on is the selflessness of the person. And then Sarva Dharma means all phenomena. And then Sabhava Shuddha means pure, naturally pure. And so all the physical and mental aggregates are also empty by nature. So these aggregates that we have, as well as all other phenomena, are empty of any independent existence. And so keep that in mind. Have that idea of everything being empty of any inherent existence. And so you meditate on emptiness, thinking that this nature of emptiness, of inherent existence, is me. Aham refers to I am. So the nature of being emptiness is me. I am. And so by focusing your mind on emptiness, you should have this meditation, do the meditation on so when you absorb your mind completely in this emptiness, then you are actually having this divine pride of being in the nature of emptiness. And so in the ultimate nature of emptiness. So you're meditating on the Dharmakaya, in other words. Dissolve yourself into emptiness. So everything becomes empty. Have this divine pride of being in the nature of emptiness, Dharmakaya. So this mind which ascertains emptiness, imagine it transforming into a tam syllable. On your left, a green tam, and on your left, on your right, home, blue in color. So in the center, you arise in the form of white Tara from that the tam syllable, which transforms into white Tara, with her. And then on the left is green Tara, and to your right is Brikuti, dark blue in color. So her right hand in the gesture of giving supreme siddhi, and holding a conch. The green Tara holds a vase in her hand. And White Tara, yourself in the center, at your heart is a moon disk on which stands a wheel with 8 spokes, in the center of which is the thumb syllable marked by a hum syllable. And similarly, at the heart of the green Tara, and at the heart of green Tara also imagine thumb syllable with a hum marked by hum syllable. And similarly, do that visualization with regards to Brekuti on your right. On the throat of these 3 deities are Om, Ah, and Hum on their crown, throat, and heart. So this visualization is for those who have received initiations before, but those who have not received initiations before, you should imagine these 3 deities on your crown, not inside you or yourself as the deity. So from the heart of the Guru and the deities in the altar, a rays of light go out, and then they invite or draw forth the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And they come in the form of nectars and nectar of immortality, and come down into the disciples, and they dissolve into the heart, the wheel at the heart of the disciples, thereby dispelling all the obstacles to life. And you gain the longevity as well as great merit. So this is general blessing. And now, in particular, from the Om syllable at the forehead of the main deity, central deity, rays of light go out. And then also this happens from the forehead of the 2 deities. And these lights dissolve into the mid-eyebrow of the disciples, and they purify all the negativities that were collected by us with our body. And then you receive the blessings of the body of the White Tara. Next. From the throat, at the throat of the master and the deities in front, as well as the two deities on the sides, red rays of light come forth, and they enter the throat of the disciples, and thereby purifying all the negativities accumulated through speech. And these rays of light fill your thought and bless your speech. So with your body and mind, think that you are blessed, so that you are able to engage in extensive practices to help sentient beings extensively. And then again, the same process of emission of light happens from the heart of the guru as well as the deities in front in the altar, and the light rays come in the form in blue color, and your heart fills up and with these rays of light, and the negativities of the heart or mind is purified, and then your mind is blessed, so that you are blessed to empowered to cultivate concentration, single-pointed concentration. So having made our request, fervent request to the master in the form of Tara, imagine yellow taras coming forth from the navel of the guru and the deities in front, and they go to your navel, and thereby your navel is filled with yellow light. So imagine that all the negativities that we have collected, by harming other sentient beings, are purified. And then imagine that you receive blessings so as to create prosperity, bring prosperity and wealth to all sentient beings. And then from the sacred place, imagine the Sayama Tara, the green Tara, and also from the two taras on the side, this rays of light, green rays of light come forth and enter your secret place, and fills it up with this green light, and thereby purifying all the fearful states, 8 fears, terrifying states, and you receive blessings to overcome them. And then from the guru and the main deity in front in the altar, from the heart comes forth the chains of mantra, and also from the deities on the two sides come forth this mantra, and they go down into you and are placed at your heart, and dissolve into the home syllable at your heart. So please repeat this mantra: Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayo Punijana Putunkuro Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayo Punijana Putunkuro Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayo Punijana Putunkuro Soha. So please repeat this 21 times together. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayo Punijana Putunkuro Soha. 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 Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayo Dare do dare dare mama yavana yana param karo soha. Dare do dare dare mama yavana yana param karo soha. Dare do dare dare mama yavana yana param karo soha. So on the left side of the guru is the Sayamatara, green Tara, and from her heart again, from the 10 syllables, the 10 syllables of the mantra come forth, and they dissolve into your heart. Please repeat this. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture, to the imagination. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Please repeat it 21 times again. Dare dare soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 so, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare dare. Dare 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 soha, dare dare. Dare 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 soha. Dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha. Dare 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 soha, dare 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 soha. So that's the green Tara mantra. And then to the right is Brikuti, the frowning Tara. Again, the mantra of the frowning Tara emanates from her heart, and they dissolve into your heart. Please repeat this. Om Brim Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Om Brim Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Om Brim Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Please repeat this. Om Brim Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Brim Soha, 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 Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Brim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Brim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Brim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Brim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. Om Brim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, 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 Om Arya Bim Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha, Om Arya Bimkoti Soha. So this is the transmission of the mantra recitation. So with this we have done the blessing of body, speech and mind. So we don't need to repeat what is written there, but the meaning is, from now on, in order to enhance our practice of bodhicitta, so that whatever we do becomes beneficial to benefit others, and you feel determined that you will rely totally on the Arya Tara in order to be able to do whatever things you have to do to serve others. and so that you receive blessings from her.
당시 저 김주주가
The first Dalai Lama, Gyendun Trulpa, the omniscient one, when he was living as a hermit, he had visions of the white Tara, great visions, and so he wrote the praises of Tara, which are called Lektima. And so in to the Kadamba masters, Tara had said that your followers will be taken care of by me. Tara had made such a pledge. So you should also feel determined that you will rely on Tara all the time, continuously. This is not to be done within the selfish motive, thinking that may I be happy, may I have good health, and so forth. But to help others, to dedicate whatever you do for the benefit of others. And then you, when you do make your prayers to deities, that your wishes will be fulfilled. The deities themselves have done that, dedicated themselves for the benefit of others. So the supramundane deities have dedicated themselves, even during when they were training to become Buddhas. And they have done so, and now when they have become Buddhas, the only thing they can do is to help other sentient beings. So with selfish motive, with self-centeredness, if you try to do some tantric practice, your goals will not fulfill. So may the disciples be blessed by the deities. So may the blessings of the deities be stabilized in the disciples. To overcome the 424 sicknesses and to overcome the delusions, the sickness or disease of delusions. May the disciples be blessed with this medicine. So this immortal, the pill of immortality, may it bless the sentient beings to live 100 years. By giving these symbols, the royal symbols, may you have the same merit as Chakravartin king, a universal monarch. May these 8 symbols of auspiciousness bring auspiciousness to you at all times. And then next is the 5 blessed substances, the 8 substances. May they be bring auspiciousness to you, just as in accordance with the blessings of the Shakyamuni Buddha. So with this, we have done the Jenang of White Tara. So perhaps it would be difficult to do the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar now, to continue the teaching.